See if they respond. Yeah, I heard that voice from above saying he's recording. Ah, there he is.
We have a quorum.
Perfect timing, right as the clock's straight up.
Good evening. Good seeing you. Come over here and even that a little bit.
Did you get a response from Andy or?
Haven't yet, so.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see if he joins us then. So, Mark. All right, we will get started on this month's Power Board meeting. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And I guess before we start, I just want to kind of, oh, good. I was wondering, where was the other one? The lights, Christmas lights, look fantastic. Tell the crews they did a great job on that. And did they have? I've just got a question. I wasn't able to make it to the lighting ceremony. How was?
It was well attended.
It looks beautiful. The tree looks beautiful this year, and I heard a few comments, and people made some comments about it. So, no, yeah. I think the groups, the crews did great putting up the signs and lights up around town, and
Our crews mainly did the tree, and Parks does a lot of the other
oh,
stuff.
did Parks do the sign? Well, it looks really good. So.
Do the banners.
So yes, welcome, welcome. We've got enough today for our meeting, so we'll get started. And first on the agenda is approving the agenda. So did everyone have a chance to look the agenda over? Any questions or comments? Okay, if anybody's got a motion,
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for the December 6th meeting.
I'll second.
okay. Then we have a first and a second. So, Dick, if you want to start off the vote,
Aye.
Mark.
Hauser, aye.
Dinsmore, aye. So, okay, next is the minutes. Did you have a chance to look through minutes and any questions, comments? None?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from November 1st.
Now, second.
Okay, Dick, do you want to start again on the vote?
Saunders, aye.
Hauser, aye.
And Dinsmore, aye. If we keep going like this will go fast. Okay. Rick, new business.
Oh, Power Board. Oh, yeah.
Got the schedule in there, don't we? Yep.
I think
Yeah,
we
so
were
that's-
emailed that.
Oh, there it is. Got it up there, so. Those are the proposed meeting dates. I guess the July one hit on July 4th, is that what it was? And then the November is actually more typical, but hit on election day, so unless we feel like we need to have a meeting another day. We won't have meetings on those 2 months, so.
So I have a question for the board, and you can tell me to fly a kite if you want. So I just have conflicting city meetings at the exact same time. I'm supposed to be a flood control authority at the same time as this meeting.
Mhm.
And so I've been jumping back and forth. I just don't know if a different day works better for everyone else, and we can throw that out there. I don't
So we're second fiddle to flood control.
know.
He's got too many fiddles.
I'm just asking. You can tell me to fly a kite, and then I can just miss some meeting. I'm just trying to be at both meetings, and if I can't, I can't, and I can just jump back and forth. Like last meeting, I was going to miss, but it was important, so I made sure I got here today. And that board is a weird board because we don't meet every first Tuesday of the month. It's just when needed, and so sometimes it is, and sometimes not. But it's not a huge deal. I just if there's a better day that works for the board, that would help me. But if not, I'll deal with it and figure it out.
The only thing I'm aware of is just conflicts with this room, having this room. I think that's why we've always had it this day.
Yeah, we'd have to probably look at that. It's not as much as we used to. There used to be work sessions on Tuesdays, but no.
And I was just thinking the first Monday. I don't know, but is Monday night a bad night for people because of whatever family stuff? I don't know. I just you don't have to think about it too hard. If it's too big of a deal, then we can just keep it. I know
What are
I'm
your
just
thoughts,
I'm
Jeremy?
not.
Or do you have thoughts?
Or you can just kick me off the other. Maybe I'll just tell the mayor to kick me off one of them. You choose.
Only thing that I would think about a Monday would be possibly
We
that
hit more
people that take
holidays.
long weekends or holidays
Yeah.
could affect your meeting schedule.
And we can't do Wednesday because of planning commission and
Right.
council, and Thursdays are.
Unfortunately, Tuesday for me works the best, but Thursday would be okay.
Just so you know, I did ask flood control if they would change, and they told me no.
The only thing I remember that is when we picked this date and why it's always been this date was just always conflicts with other city meetings, that
Yeah.
this was the day that the room was available to us. That's the only thing I know of. Obviously, so we just said Wednesdays and Thursdays are definitely, so Mondays is what we're talking. And then the question comes to conflicts with holidays and weekend schedules and stuff. Can we do this? Can we just kind of look at that and address that? Because we're not approving this other than just us looking at it saying these are the dates, right?
Well, we are, but it's not to say you couldn't change it if we do something different too. So
And like I said, it's flood control's weird. It's for some reason you're busy for like 3 months, and like today is the budget. Everyone's budget's the end of the year, and then we don't have a meeting for 3 months, and then all of a sudden we'll have like 3 meetings in a row, and then summertime hits and we have 0 meeting. It's just so random. But the problem with them is I tried to get them to move it to Thursday, but that flood control's like 3 or 4 different cities, so they have their council meetings and stuff. So, but like I said, I guess what I'll say is we should just leave it on Tuesday, but I might not be at all of them, but that's why. It's because I'm either there or at flood control. But I try to be like, they're texting me right now saying they might need me, so I might have to step out. But
I was going to say, I think we've attended more than some of the other city councilmen in the past.
so you're saying I don't need to come?
No, I'm
out.
saying we've enjoyed having you.
No, so I just wanted to make that aware that I might have to just miss here and there based on.
that's fine. And I know we've talked, and was there anything earth shattering on the agenda? And like tonight's agenda is pretty light and not
Yeah.
really
Okay.
that big. Next month may not be the same.
So it sounds like we'll just leave it on Tuesday unless.
But we can look at that. We can, like you said, we can definitely look at that and see.
We can see what the council chamber looks like, but yeah, because like on the second Tuesday, I have UAMPS typically,
Oh,
so I'm not around, and so there's
well, then I'm on solid waste, and solid waste is like, it's once a month typically, but it's like the first Monday typically, but then it's December 14th this time. I don't know. It's weird. So Just
having their
leave it. I'll
Christmas party.
just be aware I'm here and there.
Okay.
I'm not ditching you to go on a date with my wife, even though she'd want me to.
Okay, so we'll look into that, because we also have two other council or members too that we need to ask their schedules. So let's look into that. But for right now, any other conflicts, comments, questions? Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve. I guess we don't have to do that until we talk about it, huh? Get
I think it'd
everybody
be good
else's
to do
input.
it now if you can, and then, like I say, we can
Change it
always
later.
adjust if we need to.
I'll make a motion to approve Power Board meeting schedule for 2023.
And I'll second.
okay, Mark, if you want to start our vote.
Hauser, aye?
Saunders, aye.
And Dinsmore, aye. Okay. All right, regular business.
Okay, like I said, tonight's meeting should be pretty light, pretty fast. Just a general report on the department, what we have going on. We're still, unfortunately, 2 lineman positions down, and we haven't got any more applications. We did make 2 offers, and they were declined for a couple different reasons. One didn't want to. His wife decided they didn't want to relocate that far across country. And then the other one, this current employer made him, I think, a little better offer than what he currently had there. So we'll keep working on that, but it does limit, some of the things we can do. So we're working through that as best we can. And Jake and Mike, who aren't normally on the crew, they're more than willing to help out when we need a 4th hand and those kind of things. So we're keeping an eye on that. Utility Financial Services, UFS, we're working with them on a update it to our cost of service and rate study. We're collecting and sending data to them. I'd say we're about 75-80% got our data to them. And if things go as planned, sometime in February is when we'd start seeing some at least preliminary results from them that we could present to the Power Board and eventually the council. So that's a big effort right now, and we need to address and make sure we're financially sound. Reported for the last several months, we've been working on easements for the new Grapevine substation location. Pleased to report the last one we were able to secure this last month. And so we have the substation side as well as the easements to get from the existing lines to the new substation line. To the new substation location, we have those in hand. And this is the current drawing of the substation site. This is the Washington Parkway, and then this road is Buena Vista. And then just right over here is the off-ramp for exit 13. And this basically, I think it's this draw right here, isn't it, Craig? That kind of goes where the current trail, the Grapevine Trail is, where you go up. And that gives you an idea of where this is located. And we're working with Alliance on, for the cost estimate. Our goal is hopefully to get this graded and the substation fence in this fiscal year. We're coordinating with the parks. So this is much more than just the substation. There'll be trailhead here, and down here is parking. We'll be parking for equestrian trailers and things like that. So it'll be a really, really nice trailhead, and done in conjunction with the new development that's going to the west too. So I just wanted to bring this forth. I didn't bring the fancy flyover, but we'll bring that at a future date that you can kind of see what this will look like. So Again, the timing on this, the actual substation will be dependent on the load growth in the area. You know, as that need increases, then we'll build the substation, but it was important to get the site and the easements before development gets too far down the road. So give you a little update on that project. Exit 13, which is the Main Street exit. We've signed the agreement with UDOT today. I sent that off, and it's a reimbursement agreement. The city gets reimbursed 100% of our costs associated with the changes due to that new interchange. The foundation work, which is primarily only one foundation for the interchange project, will start in January. So we coupled that foundation in with our substation project that we got going on there. And we'll have a few pictures of that here in a minute. Supply chain issues. I know everybody's tired of hearing that, but that's continues to be a struggle and a challenge at times. Now we're hearing from some transformer manufacturers of lead times out to 2 years. Wow. So it makes it a real challenge for not only us, but for developers, you know, to find the transformers and things that they need in order to serve new load. And, you know, and it's a real, like I say, it's a real challenge is how do you know, most of these developments didn't know that they were going to even try to develop 2 years ago. So, and it's not, I was hoping that we'd start seeing things improve, but it just still continues to stay the same or get it even a little bit worse. As far as power prices, we've had lots of those discussions, but I just wanted to give you a sample of, this was yesterday's UAMPS schedule here on 12/5/22. And this basically is the market prices for buy and sell, with the buy being the higher and the sell being the lower. And that's the general range you can see, you know, 160 to 120, in the evenings, 225, 175. So all I did, same website and same everything, all I did is change it to a year ago, the same day, this 12/5/21. Anybody notice a fairly significant difference?
Yeah.
So wholesale pricing today is roughly 5 times what it was the same day last year. So it's again another kind of scary trend that we're seeing and having to deal with. We were fortunate working with UAMPS. We were able to secure not a huge amount, but 3 or 4 megawatts for December for 86, I believe it was. So again, still much higher than last year, but certainly better than the open market pricing. So just mainly make you aware. And coupled with that, natural gas prices are nuts right now, like $18 a decatherm, which puts us over $200 a megawatt hour to run our units if we were wanting to do that. So it's even worse than what we're seeing on the open market. So our 300 North project, again, I've reported, I think for the last couple months, it's basically done other than removing the old poles, and we're still waiting for TDS to move, which is an ongoing challenge with the communication companies that I know you've heard many times.
Is there a point where we just take them down?
Yeah, but then we're disconnecting our own customers. We still have mad citizens. But it's a difficult, and one of the things that we're working on is a new pole attachment agreement that would have more teeth in it. But anyway, that's right now we don't really have a decent agreement at all. it's just kind of always been there. So, um, the Main Street project is starting to move along. We did award the construction, the foundations, and the erecting of the steel to Bodeck, who's the same contractor that did Staley a couple years ago for us, and they did a really good job. So, in fact, our crews yesterday de-energized the Main Street sub, and they started the demolition today. So, over the next couple of weeks, you'll see that front end of the substation kind of disappear. And we have to have the existing steel down ready for the contractor to come in the first week in January. And along with that, just some real exciting pictures for you, but we've actually have the substation steel arrived. This is the transmission poles that will be used for the UDOT projects. There's 3 for the UDOT project and then 3 inside the substation. They're laying in the field west of the substation right now. So those came in. The relay panels came in. Keep in mind, most of these things have been on order for about a year or more. So it does actually eventually happen. So that's a good thing. And again, so right now the steel is just up outside of our plant up there. So, and then these are the new circuit breakers that will go in that same substation project. So, and I'd say about a little over half of the bus work fittings and whatnot has shown up. They've assured us it'll be here by the end of the month. So keep your fingers crossed. But at some point, in order to meet the deadline, we've got to start. So we made that leap of faith. Last week, they did some work on the 69. This is the pole just outside of the Main Street sub. And the main reason I bring this up is they're disconnecting these jumpers, and they're doing that hot at 69 kV. So, yeah, that's the new refurbished bucket truck that we bought last year, and so this is Caden and Braden doing the work. No, we would have had to have borrowed a truck from somebody to do that. And so they pulled these jumpers off. I think the next picture, if we look at close, you can see this bottom one's been pulled back. It used to be over here, and so they pulled it back so we could do some other work to set it up for this Main Street project. And then they later put those back, and then they have removed these yesterday that go into the Main Street sub. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this project, is in order to separate things. They've been having to do this kind of hot work that, we can do it, but it's slow, it's tedious, and it's obviously it has more opportunity for problems than if you just open and close a switch in a substation. So, but they did a great job, and anyway, like I say, doesn't happen very often. They work on the 12 kV hot all the time. 69, not quite as often. But it was really nice to have the equipment to be able to do that all in-house and not have to scramble for it. So, and then our target will be to have the substation in its new configuration back on end of April, mid-May at the latest. So we're ready for the summer season next year. So, it's interesting, our solar applications in November, we only had 8. Last November, we had 26. So Jeremy had commented that I would suspect maybe the interest rates and some of that has kind of affected some of that. So we still are getting applications coming in, but not quite at the clip that we did at the end of last year. So Let's see, what else Wayne have on his, you'd mentioned previous, we did help with the Christmas decorations, the banners. Maybe that's what you meant by the signs, is the banners on the poles. Yes, our crews did that. Christmas tree, and then the parks did all the tree wraps, and so between all the departments, it looks really nice out there. Uh, There's 3 or 4 of our crew participated in the IPSA hotline school at the first part of last month. Jordan will actually do his second year test tomorrow or Thursday. Hopefully he'll be successful in that, and that'll get him, he'll be halfway through his apprenticeship at that point. So, I think we've covered most of the other. On the development side of things, there are a lot of commercial projects we're starting to see come in various locations. So anything from the first dealership in the auto mall to a new car wash to there's a little auto repair there by the dollar store on Telegraph that's coming in. So, or pardon? Auto sales. I think they have some service there too, don't they? Oh, it's just sales. Okay. Okay. So we're starting to see, lots of commercial different types coming in. Okay, if you don't have any questions on that, we can kind of switch to the UAMP side of things. I mentioned that we did make some purchases for November and December. And we're looking at trying to secure some gas for at least short runs during the summer. We've sent it out to several suppliers, and I've only got one response so far. It's interesting that the response is just very slow on some of those, and we're really close to sending out a request for a proposal for a purchase for 2023, a different amount for each month, and we'll see what we get on that. So, but the individual month indices that UAMP sends out, I mean, the summer's looking like over 200 for products, which is, I guess, better than 1,000 we saw some of September, but still much higher than we would like to see. So we're hoping to get requesting a longer period or multiple months that we might be able to soften that a little bit. So, just quickly on the different UAMPS projects, the Central St. George project, not a whole lot new there. There's a development out by SR9 and Sand Hollow Road that they're working on. There's a few of the poles that have to be replaced out there that's owned by UAMPS. It primarily feeds Hurricane, but we are, since we're part of the project, we do review what's going on there. The Nebo project, last month I reported that when they got into the steam turbine, they found more problems than they had anticipated. So it's been sent to Texas, and last word I've got, it's supposed to be back online around December 28th. So the steam part of that project will have been down almost 3 months, which hasn't helped keep our costs down. But they have, on a few days, depending on gas pricing and power pricing, they're able to run it simple cycle. So there's actually 2 generators on that project. One that's just, it's kind of like the St. George ones over by Mill Creek that just burn gas, more or less a jet engine. And then the steam one recovers some of that heat and then runs a steam turbine as well. So you get more bang for the buck, and it's the steam part that's down, so the combustion turbine they are able to run. Not as economical as if they're both available, but it's been beating the wholesale power costs on several days. So they'll run that based on what's needed. The Vale Heat Recovery Project actually has been running really well, and in a few hours, we're actually getting more than our allocation. It's based on a 10 megawatt output, and sometimes it'll get up to 10 and a half or so, which tells you Kern River's compressing a lot of natural gas if they have that level of waste heat available. So that one's been running well. The government and public affairs, they're monitoring, and we're hoping to have an opportunity to get maybe some grant funding. But they're sorting through that whole big federal legislation, and the most promising looks like the federal government will allocate certain funds to states, and then we might have a better chance to work with the state to maybe get some of those fundings. On the 2 solar projects we have coming up, the Red Mesa is going well. It's almost complete except for, there's always an except, they are having some supply chain issues on the tracker motors. So it's the system that tips, it'll actually tip the solar panels to get the optimum. So that's the only hiccup they've reported on that one, but they still claim they'll be online the first quarter of 2023. The Steel Solar, the panel supplier is still having trouble getting approval to get things through customs. And so that one we're keeping a close eye on. Right now, they're still saying Q4 of 23. So again, similar issues. That one's more of not necessarily availability, as they have to demonstrate that they haven't used any child labor in the mining or manufacture of those panels, and so they have to give all the paperwork for customs to allow it through. So I think
Is that the one that they went from China to Vietnam on the panels?
I think the Vietnam one was the one that are being used at Red Mesa.
Oh, okay, so this is
So
a different supplier.
I think yes, it is a different supplier on the 2 projects. The Enchant project, I believe I reported last month, is officially dead and gone. We voted to disband that at the UAMPS level last month. And that's the primary focus of UAMPS, and it's not just us, all the members. Well, I'd say 80% of them are in similar situations, that they're short or having issues with some of their coal products. Some of the plants are having a hard time getting coal, so they can't run 24/7 like you'd expect a coal plant. Again, that's all contributing to increasing or decreasing supply and increasing costs. So, but we are looking at we're participating in a geothermal project study, a natural gas project study, which could be anything from a reciprocating engine like we currently have to something as big as like another NEBO that would be a turbine based. And so that'll look at different options, locations, environmental issues, transmission issues, and those kind of things. And there's another solar project that this one actually comes with a 4-hour battery capability, which would help us in the evenings to have that. That so far it looks like it's kind of promising pricing to have that capability compared to what we've seen on some other solars with batteries. So that was encouraging. And so there's at least those 3 study projects that are actively going on in UAMPS. I don't think there's been enough moisture fall to really change the Colorado River project outlook. Anything's helpful, but I don't think we've had huge amounts of water that's going to change the level of Lake Powell and Lake Mead anytime soon. So we'll keep an eye on that. Both wind projects, we're about a 20% capacity factor, and that's actually, the Horse Butte's must be a lot of wind in Wyoming and Idaho the last week or so, because they've both been producing quite a bit in the last week, so that's helped us out. And finally, on the carbon-free project, the overall status and stuff really hasn't changed significantly from what I reported last month. We talked about that there'll be an upcoming economic competitive test, or ECT, and then that will trigger an off-ramp where each entity has the opportunity to either stay in the project or get out. And that will be presented, we're anticipating the first week in January. And so we had a discussion on our January meetings. It may very well be, we've got the one scheduled on the 3rd. If we hold that, there may very well need to be a second one in there, and I'll work with Jeremy it may make sense to do a combined work session with the council when that comes forward, but we'll keep you posted on what might be needed on that. And so once that triggers the off-ramp period, that would go through mid to late, February. And so there'll probably be lots of meetings and discussions in that period. It's still anticipated that although the price is expected to go up, that it'll still be competitive with other resources, particularly resources that are available 24/7. And again, that's you'll see different groups and publications, cite that you can get solar for $22 all you want. And well, I responded to one of the council members that if somebody's got a contract that says that, bring it on. We'd love to have it. And so we got to keep in mind the different types of resources, and they each have their place, and we need to make sure we're comparing them all the same. Most of the other, all the other resources, be it any of the ones I just talked about, the natural gas or solar, geothermal, they're all going to have similar inflationary pressures. Unless, at least I know at home, our pocketbook's a little more strained. You go to the gas pump, even though it's come down a little, it's still a lot more than a year or so ago. And then one of the other things UAMPS is working on is the development agreement to hopefully enhance or provide additional protections as far as not only cost, but on subscription levels. So, and that's what we'll bring back to you in January. They're supposed to have a pretty good discussion on that at next week's UAMPS meetings in Salt Lake. So there are, again, as far as there's the contractual side, but as far as the project moving forward with COLA, NuScale, that's still moving forward as planned and on schedule. NuScale has the standard plant design that's supposed to be submitted the end of this month. They did get a ruling on the EPZ zone, emergency planning zone, that will limit it to the boundary of the site instead of the typical 10-mile, which is a significant reduction. And again, the COLA work is on track to be ready to submit basically a year from now, a little over a year, to the NRC. And they continue to engage the NRC with different site visits and giving them heads up on what's coming. And so I think as far as the permitting side, it's progressing really well. And they've been working with the anticipated operator to develop the operation, and those operational costs are in the current estimate that weren't there to the level of detail they are now in the previous estimate. So again, there's not a lot of detail at this point that I can share in a public forum, but say the first week or two of January, I would anticipate having much more detail, and we'll have a discussion on that. So, any questions?
Don't have any questions. Casual observation, if the open market price is $160, makes the clean carbon-free project
Right.
a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, and then like I say, nobody was excited to see it go up, but everything's gone up as well. So, so we're looking at any and all options that we can get our hands on, or turn the rock and see if it makes sense. We'll bring it to you for consideration, and in the interim, you know, any of the projects I've talked about are going to be 2-3 years out at least. So we're going to have to address some of our needs, and most likely that's going to be a short-term contract in some form. So, and that's all I have. Unless you have more questions for me, like I say, it's pretty simple, straightforward, short Christmas meeting. So,
Yay.
yeah, January could make up for it. So.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mark?
Hauser, aye.
Saunders, aye.
Dinsmore, aye. Merry Christmas, everyone, and
See
a
you next
wonderful
year.
holiday, and we shall see you next year. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.